Hey everyone, insight number 5, last one of the week. How's your study of Jeremiah been so far? I think it's pretty cool. I quite like Jeremiah. I was reading it was very good reading. Quite easy to understand and had some really good insights around the people and their behaviour, so I quite like that. So let's finish off with this one, 16:14 to 17. Now in those days they remembered when they were talking about God as Jesus Christ, because they didn't know his name was Jesus Christ yet, they just called him God. So they would often bring up the miracle of the parting of the Red Sea. And I mean, like, why wouldn't you? It was a huge miracle. Everybody knew about it. Even today, it's really famous. Most people, even if they're not Christian, understand what that is, and, you know, whether they believe it or not, they know the story. A little bit, if not all of it, they'll know or recognize it. Most people. So, here's the interesting part. So, 14 through 17 says, Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, The Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Because people are going to forget about that. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their lands that I gave unto their fathers. And you're like, okay. So the day's going to come when people talk of miracles, they're not going to talk of so much the parting of the Red Sea, because there's a bigger miracle that's going to eclipse that miracle. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's that? And I was like, well, we're in the middle of it right now. So let's read on. 16 says, And behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. For mine eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes. So what might that be talking about? Well, I've put down, remember the miracle. A bigger one is coming, and it's happening right now. So because of the nature and his calling, this is where it comes up just around this time, and the perils he would face, Jeremiah is told not to marry and have children, and that's in verses 2 to 3. So I mentioned that earlier, this is where it's found. He faces knowing he will not be liked or mourned for when he dies. That's something none of us really want, is it? That we want to be liked, and we like to think that when we die and pass away that people are going to be sad. And he's told that's not going to happen for you. It's a harsh thing to hear, right? So, no, I got some kudos for Jeremiah. I feel for him. I would certainly mourn his death. I think he would be an awesome guy to know. So, you know, maybe some people out there do like him. Maybe not in his time, but they do now. So have some love for Jeremiah. The Lord tells him to remember his loving kindness and goes on to teach that a greater miracle than the parting of the Red Sea will come in the restoration and the 10 scattered tribes. Now, they're often referred to as the lost tribes. And that's what he's talking about here. They're going to be fished and hunted. Not to be killed, but they're going to be gathered. It's his way of saying they're going to go out and gather them in. And these people, who are they going to be? But it's not that they're lost. Now, when I was growing up, it was taught to me like at some point, you know, some mountain somewhere is going to open and all these people are going to walk out and they'll be like, oh yeah, hey, we're the 10 tribes that went missing. And it's like, that's what it sounded like to me. But that's not the case. And I don't know if anyone else got that picture in their head, but that's somehow what happened with whoever taught me that. Some teacher randomly somewhere, but that's not what happens. It's not that they are lost, like lost can't find them, because the Lord knows where they are and we see them all the time. They're in everybody around us. It's just that they don't know who they are. They don't know their ancestry to take them back to and connect them into that great family. But they're finding out now, aren't they? And we're gathering right now, Israel, again, gathering back together. And the tribes are all being named in patriarchal blessings. People are doing their family history and finding out where they come from. They're able to trace back so far and know that that's of the tribe of Levi or Benjamin or Judah or Manasseh or Ephraim or whatever. And Manasseh and Ephraim weren't lost, neither was Judah. But the others were just sort of out there. You know, like it's not lost. They're just scattered. They're still amongst us. So comparing the gathering to fishing and hunting, the Lord says he will send fishers and hunters to gather from all places. Fishers and hunters being missionaries, and that includes us, because we're missionaries too. Whether we wear a badge or whether we serve in whatever capacity or whether we're just nice to our neighbour, we're being a missionary. Anyone who is on the Lord's errand is fishing and finding scattered Israel. So how are you gathering and fishing? Because you can do it on this side or the other side of the veil. Meaning what? You can do your family history and gather there. You can gather here by being kind to your neighbour, by going and serving a mission, or by serving in what capacity you serve, anything that is going to encourage people to become, that is gathering Israel. So that's us. When he's describing the fishers and hunters, he's talking about us. I know. We're going to go find our own people. Because we're Israel. We need to go find the missing people of Israel. So go hunting and fishing. Go gathering. Go find them. That's the challenge. Now, President Nelson said, "You are sent to earth at this precise time to help gather Israel. There is nothing happening on this earth right now that is more important than that gathering. This gathering should mean everything to you." Now, this came out just before COVID, and a lot of people would say, well, I think COVID's probably, up there with the most important things happening in the world. And I'm like, you know what? It is. Maybe in the top 10. Definitely not number 1. Number 1 is the gathering of Israel. I'd probably put even like the obesity epidemic and diabetes ahead of COVID. It's more damaging. Cancer is more damaging than COVID. The loss of all the jobs and the financial crisis because of COVID is worse than the actual COVID. So while it's up there, and while you might be thinking, gosh, COVID is way worse, or the financial crisis is way worse, and yes, they are bad. I agree with you. I get it. I hear you. The most important thing right now that is going on this earth is the gathering of Israel, and we get to be part of it. There's hundreds of thousands of millions of people that live before us, but we get the privilege of being part of it. So what are you doing to gather Israel? How are you gathering to help people become and to know who they are, who they belong to, and who they belong with? Because they're our family and they're our people. Even if they don't join the church, they're still our family and our people. So how are you gathering and how are you serving? Have a think about that this week as you study more, as you talk to your family, as you teach this. Maybe make a plan for some things you can do. They don't have to be huge, great things. They can be little things that you do every day. Again, reach out to the one. You can pray for someone by name. You can send someone a little note in the mail. They're all very simple little things that just help people to know they're part of something bigger, even if they don't know it's called Israel and that it belongs to the Lord. Maybe they don't know that, but you can do something. You can post something positive on social media or choose not to engage in a negative thing. There's a lot of things you can do. So have a think about that and, make some goals. And it's coming up Christmas in the States and there's a lot of things happening there, a lot of pressure on. I think a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves there. Maybe you just loosen that a little and focus on the real needs. Focus on being kinder, less judgmental or non-judgmental at all. That'd be great. Accepting people for who they are and just welcoming them. Let go of the toxic perfectionism. Let go of having to have all the stuff. And just bless people. Just be kind and patient and loving and all those things. That would be really awesome. All right. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you've had a really good week. I've had a great week so far and tomorrow's going to be awesome for me. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate your support and just hope you've got something out of this. We're going to do a little bit more of Jeremiah next week, but probably more Lamentations. Even though Jeremiah is really long, it covers much the same things that we studied in detail in Isaiah. So similar type of things. And a lot of the things too are brought up in the Book of Mormon. So we're quite familiar with the way that's being taught and what's being said. We've also covered it back in Kings, back in that time. So it's, you don't need to deep dive too much into Jeremiah. But remember the guy. Give him some grace because he didn't have a great life. And he did it all for the people and he did it because the Lord wanted him to. So if you're feeling like you're not having a great time but you want to keep serving, Jeremiah's probably going to be your best bud. So there you go. All right. Love you guys. Bye.